You are watching the Weekend Sports Kickoff right here on KNWT, Channel 8. As we are back on the Weekend Sports Kickoff, I'm Devin Albertson, joined by Ryan Elliott, Trevor Mater, and our special guest, D'Vante Mosby, who was on the basketball team last year, part of the national championship team. And D'Vante, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good, Dev. How are you?
I'm doing just fine here as we're ready for the Central Regional Tournament to kick off tomorrow. But before we go to that, let's talk about last year a little bit and you guys making that run to the national championship game, and just what was it like to go through the 3 games here in front of this home crowd in Maryville? I'm sure it's going to be the same way this weekend. Just how much energy you guys feed off this crowd here in Maryville?
It was electric. To say that's an understatement. I think anyone who was there last year for the first round game saw that there's probably a little bit too much energy running through Bearcat basketball because we almost lost the first game. But it was so fun. Maryville did what Maryville does, and they just showed up. They were super loud and super enthusiastic, and the whole city kind of shut down for the games. It was awesome.
And how much of that experience from that team last year do you think carries over into this season with the feeling that we've been here before?
We talk about it all the time at the house. It's just the culture around Bearcat basketball. It kind of goes to where you just hop in the system and you give all that you have, and that's all you have to focus on. Everything else will take care of itself so long as you're giving max effort and preparing well. So it always transfers over, because even the red shirts last year know what it takes to be a Bearcat, and they stepped in this year. As you see Ryan Hawkins doing what he's doing. Derek Lang, he works extremely hard. No one sees it, but he works harder than just about anyone on the team. And it's just kind of a system that you just hop in, and all you have to worry about is giving max effort. So
last year when you guys stepped on the court for the first round of the regionals and the crowd is going nuts and it's loud, how hard was it for you or your teammates to tell yourself, okay, this is just another game, let's just go about it as we would in the regular season?
That first game was really tough. And not so much when we first stepped out there. It was everything that was leading up to that entire week, because you have a full week of practice, which is not what you normally have. You usually have 2 games a week, every week, at the least 1. But it was just, they're setting up the gym as you're practicing. Other teams are coming in, looking in the door, watching you, waiting to get their time in the gym. You got countless texts, and you got to get everybody tickets before the game, and everybody's just buzzing around, and it just changes the flow of everything. But after having that this year, I think we're ready.
And then 2,200 people come up.
Yeah.
It's just super loud and exciting, and the energy is just off the roof. Out of the roof.
And that's one thing you want to talk about is that you look at hosting a region is not something that everybody just gets to do every year. It's not something that it's not a normal thing for a program, for a team, for a city. It's not a normal thing.
And all summer last year, especially with the years prior, that was our main goal. Obviously, you got to win the regular season, but all summer long we were like, host. We have to host. Because going up to Sioux Falls and playing Augie at their place and having to beat them to get out of the region, it's just so tough.
Yep. And
it's like, if you want a chance at winning the national championship, you got to make your bed earlier and host the region. And with that being the first time, it was super tough.
And, of course, talking about hosting the region, the first game is against Minnesota State Mankato. Of course, that's where Joey Wittes transferred from. Have you guys any discussion around the team about him playing his former team? Any jokes going around at Joey playing against his old team, or has it kind of been pretty just like, hey, just Northwest versus Mankato?
It's going to be business as usual. The cool part about this is that Joey has just bought in so much to the culture that you'd have never thought that he transferred. He just gives all that he has for the team, and obviously I know that he's going to have a chip on his shoulders. But as far as we go, as far as the team goes, they're coming to our place, so we got to handle our business.
And how does Joey keep his hair so perfect during games? I never understood that, how he keeps his hair just like that the entire game.
I don't know. Joe's a smooth dude overall. There's many questions that you would ask about Joey, like how does Joey do that? How does Joey do that?
I have to say one thing. I've been to several games now, taking pictures for my sports photography class.
Mm-hmm.
And in every single picture I take of Joey, he has got some crazy face on.
Yeah.
Every single, it doesn't matter what he's
too.
doing. He could be standing.
Yeah.
Just standing, waiting for an inbound or something.
Yeah.
He's still making some crazy face every time I take a picture.
Yeah.
I think we can blame Michael Jordan for that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of the reason every kid ever does that
Yeah.
now.
He's got interesting finishing faces too.
Yeah.
Us basketball players have interesting finishing faces and sounds. Be on the lookout for those.
So talk about what it's like now, kind of being on the outside, not being a player. Does it feel kind of weird? I mean, watching this team, I mean, obviously you're still really close to it, but
yeah.
not being right there with them, does it feel different?
Yeah, it felt different in the beginning, for sure. You kind of feel like you lost a friend. Like, all your boys are going to practice. You're like, all right, guys, catch you later. See you, Zach. See you, Brett. See you, JP. But then you get used to it because you get to see that you get to see people like Ryan Hawkins get in the game and play after getting beat up all year last year. You get to see Ryan Welty step up into a new role, Tyler Doherty, and then you get to see Kirk Finley get out there and move the ball because he's a great mover. And then you get over it because you're just like, good thing that is something that I miss. And just like anything that's good, anything that you get to be a part of that's worth your time, you're just going to miss it. But as far as being like super sad about it, I'm more hyped than I am bummed out.
Well, I saw you at one of the last home games. I think it was a Southern game, and I saw you across the court. You were almost on the court because you were so excited after a made bucket. That was a crazy game, and of course, Northwest has a chance to play them in the second round. And of course, we can look forward because we're not actually playing, and we don't have to take it one game at a time. So Northwest could take on either Southwest Minnesota or Missouri Southern. Think about the matchups there. What does Missouri Southern do that gives the Northwest team so much trouble the last couple of years?
Oh, they just put the ball in the bucket when it comes to playing us. I mean, CJ Carr just has our number, huh? That's kind of crazy. But I think one thing that they do is just how they mix up their defensive scheme. They usually put, a big on a non-shooter and then match up everywhere else and force the person who can shoot but doesn't normally shoot in our offense to make threes to beat them. And that usually just throws us off a little bit.
And Xavier made him pay a little bit last time the guys played him, and Xavier definitely hit 3 or 4 3-pointers there and made him kind of guard him there and change their defensive schemes. That's huge if Xavier can hit some threes there against a team like that.
Mm-hmm. And he'll have to do so, and he'll step up to do that for sure.
Let's take it to a mentality standpoint for a second. How bad does this team want Missouri Southern? You're around it every day. How bad does this team want to end that season?
We can't be giving them ammunition. They're gonna watch the update. And, the cool thing about our team, man, is that like it's the next team, and at this point, when it's win or go home, they have to win their game too. And it would be cool that if we ended it, but the same way that they have to win their game, we have to win our first one too, because you just never know who's gonna come out and shoot 60% from the floor. Go 50% from 3 and just have a wild night coming off the bench. Like, you just never know for the other teams that you're playing, especially with such a big target on our school's back. But it'd be awesome to play them and beat them. But we'll just see what happens.
You talk about that and potentially a matchup with Southern and both teams having to win their game first. How big is it to not overlook it, and how do you go about that? Is there any specific way you go about it?
Because last year you guys had Augie in the second round. You guys had up right early, and was there any discussions with that before playing Augie? Because Augie was your big rival last year.
Yeah. We do what we do. We do the same things every day. With a team as good as ours, you would think that we just do this crazy scheme. But we do some of the most basic drills every single day defensively. The drills like in middle school where you do shell and you just pass the ball around. Obviously, ours is a little bit more intense than back in the day. But you do the zigzag drill, and you just do everything with all-out effort to eliminate any lack of confidence going into the game, whether it be the number 1 team in the country or whether it be, some team that barely squeaked into the tournament. You just handle them all the same.
And, of course, it helps. You guys have a lot of talented guys with yourself, Snyder, and Woods last year. And, of course, this year, everybody knows about Justin Pitts, Endow, Doherty, and all these guys, Wittes, Kurth, and just all the guys on the bench, Welty and Hawkins and others. You guys are just so talented. That really helps you guys just do your job and just be fundamentally sound, and everything will kind of follow afterwards. And just execution is what I've seen versus when you guys play is when you guys play a team that can score a lot of points, likes to get up and down the floor, you guys say, we're going to slow it down and make you guys execute to our level, and it's so hard for other teams to compete with.
Yeah. You're going to have to play our game, play at our pace. We obviously don't mind playing at a higher pace, but when you're so focused on defense and being efficient defensively, and you can hang your hat on your defense, why wouldn't you make them, cherish their possessions, work to use each other the whole 30 seconds? And that's just kind of what we do, and we eliminate a lot of things in transition, so you're going to have to work for your points.
And that's one thing we've talked about a number of times on this show, and something that you don't see very often in Division II basketball is that this team is incredibly well coached. They're incredibly fundamentally sound, and they play incredible defense, and that's been the mantra for Northwest over the last, since Coach McCollum came around, really, and probably even before. But I think you look at this team and you look at what makes them so hard to beat is exactly what you talked about is you don't get very many possessions against this Northwest team. You don't get very many opportunities.
Yep, impose your will. That's what we say. And you're going to do what we want you to do. And you're going to guard the way that we want you to guard with different back cuts and different screen reads and with all of our shooters and weapons on the court. And then we're going to handle one thing that we don't like is getting scored on easy in transition. And those points add up. So if you don't sprint back once and they get 2 points and they didn't do anything for it, then why did you play hard defense the rest of the game? So that's why you see everyone sprinting back and getting ready and getting, before the ball even gets there, somebody's back there clapping, getting ready, because we just hang our hat on little things like that.
So being a defensively sound team like you guys are, I know at like the high school level, some coaches of really good defensive teams will set goals. We want to get 10 tips a game, or we want to get so many steals. Are there ever any situations where before a game, Coach Mack says, hey, look, guys, let's try to create this many turnovers. Let's try to hold this score to this many points. Are there any personal goals that you guys set as a team during certain games?
Mac does a really good job of honing in on screen coverages and set coverages. So not getting scored on easy is a huge thing. And he doesn't necessarily set goals. Like, one thing he does love is deflections, but I don't think he counts them.
I think every coach loves those.
Yeah. You got to see Mac in practice, man.
I see him during games. He's crazy.
Yeah. But you won't see him. You'll see him hype for scores. But you get a deflection, you take a charge, you dive on the floor, you talk on defense, and you rotate well even when you're scrambling. That's when you see Coach Mack going crazy. And that's what sets him apart from more than setting necessarily a goal that you want to hit. The way that he celebrates the little things that you do is what makes our team so good defensively. And
you talk about that culture. You also played another team in Northwest that had a rich culture as well, as you played number 87, a wide receiver for the football team for a little bit. What was that like to play football for about a half a season for the football team and just be able to step on the football field and put the pads on for the first time since high school?
I'm curious, how did that come about first? I mean, did you just one day decide that you wanted to play football, or how'd that come about?
Well, right after the national championship game last year, we took a trip down to the Capitol to meet the governor and things like that. And I remember it was Rich Wright. He had his guys, and it was me, Zach, and Woods, and Cass Weidel, and Bevo. And we all went down there, and the whole trip was just a recruiting trip for Coach Wright, trying to get me to play. And I just didn't know what I was going to do this year. I didn't know whether I was going to get out of here and go to grad school or what, so I couldn't necessarily commit. But even as the year went on, this semester, they just kept saying things to me. Joe Quinlan would say something here. Joel would say something. And then I just thought, why not be adventurous and do it? Because they called me in one day. So I gave it a weekend. I went up and talked to Coach Wright, gave it a weekend. And I was like, I didn't tell my mom, didn't tell anyone. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it just for the adventure of it all. And I have a lot of good friends on the team anyway, so And it turned out to be such an awesome experience.
How difficult was it, having not played football in a couple years, to put those pads on and go out there with guys that have won national championships?
Those dudes are real. It was very hard. It was super tough. Those guys are so good at their craft, man, and it's such a different game from basketball. Same type of athleticism, but it just comes out in different ways. On the basketball court, it's so under control, and it's cut here, cut there. Football, it's like you got to be powerful, quick, because like everything happens like that in 4 seconds. And if you're not open in 2, then you're not getting the ball. So stepping on the field with those dudes was a very humbling experience, to say the least.
But I got to say that I wasn't entirely surprised to see you do it, just because of watching the way that you played basketball. There was always the sense of that hunger to compete, that hunger to when you're going out there, you're giving everything that you have every second, all the time. So how much of your decision to play football and the experience you had was you just wanted to compete?
That was a big part of it. And over these past few years of my college experience, I've been telling myself, like, you're not going to have this forever. Might as well be adventurous about it. And I just hang my hat on my effort and what I'm willing to give, yes, on the field, but more importantly off the field, culture-wise. And, that was definitely a major factor, is that I just wanted to compete and give what I have.
And you were a good football player in high school. You were All-State, weren't you, along with All-State basketball? So it's not like you were really good in the first place. And basketball, you played pretty physical anyways.
Yeah.
Were you just wanting just one time just throw me a jump ball in the end zone, see if I can get this 5'10" corner?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is my rebound. I'm getting it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I was, but never me scoring a touchdown over the goals of the team. I was just happy to be a part of what they have going, and it is a very special thing. And there's a lot of things that you don't see about that team that go on throughout the week that is just super special.
So you played football and you played basketball. I was kind of surprised you didn't play baseball this spring too. I thought maybe.
Shoot. I was walking through the gym and Coach asked me, he was like, "You gonna put on a baseball uniform?" And I said, "No, no." Every time I throw a baseball, my arm pops.
I was gonna say, how long has it been since you played baseball?
I've never played baseball.
There you go.
Yeah, I love to play catch. Me and Zach play all the time, but no, there's no way.
I've used that like a sidearm pitcher, just getting down there just extra low and just sidearming it just for the heck of it. Just
there's
super long.
That you got tennis, there's track and field. There's still options.
There's golf.
But we don't have a men's golf team.
Oh, yeah, true.
So, do a little track. No.
So
I'm gonna stay in my lane.
So going back to the basketball, this is whereas last year you guys were kind of a balance. You had some seniors and then you had some juniors too, like Justin and Chris. This is a pretty senior-heavy lineup this year. Is there anyone that kind of sticks out to you next year that you're excited to see after Justin is gone and after Chris is gone and after Xavier's gone?
Don't forget about Brett.
And Brett, yeah, I forgot
respect
about
on
Brett.
his name.
Brett's my dude. Okay, so are you saying like just in general?
Yeah, is there anyone that you're excited to see kind of break through next year?
All those boys. Those are my dudes. And they all have something different to add to the table. Now, obviously, JP, big shoes to fill. But what makes JP good is something that I see in all of them that in a different way. I'm excited to see what Welty does because obviously he's just been progressing. I just see him more aggressive and trusting himself a lot more and being put into different roles because Mac trusts him a lot. I'm excited to see him step up as a leader. Tyler Doherty, that dude's been working so much. And obviously Brett is such a veteran that it's hard to get in and steal some minutes from him. But Hawkins is a weapon if y'all haven't noticed.
Yeah.
A long, lanky weapon. And then our red shirt, he's going to do well. Both of them are working, but Trevor's got game. Don't tell him I said this. Don't tell him I didn't say
I see him in pregame. He got some hops there. He's pretty explosive there as a 6-foot guard. He can get up there, and he's pretty explosive.
He does. He's just a hooper at heart. He's a lot like JP. You see JP, and he just makes it look super easy with his reads and different things like that. Trevor's is a lot like him. He's more like a bowling ball type hooper, and I'm excited to see him play as well.
And, of course, you talked about Justin a little bit. I don't know how much you can tell us, but how healthy is the foot? How healthy is he going to be able to go full strength this weekend, or do you really know?
I will never count Justin out. Justin is a tough kid, so tough. And if he's going to sit out, he's made the call and he has to sit out. So we'll just leave it up to him to make the call and see where it goes.
And, of course, they list Justin at 5'10". How tall is he really?
Like 6. No, I'm kidding.
He's actually 6'11". Everybody else is incredibly tall.
I don't know how tall he is exactly, but he plays extremely tall, and he has these super gangly arms.
Answer.
The dude is unreal.
Oh, yeah.
Unreal defensively, and more importantly, his IQ is off the charts. So,
was there ever a time that he beat? Because you're a relatively tall guy. Was there ever a time he beat you out for a rebound, and you just looked like, how did he do that? Because I know this year I've seen him beat out Chris for rebounds.
Yeah, and he'll do this little thing where he like grabs the ball and he like looks up at you, and everybody just starts dying in practice. I remember one time we played a lot of 1-on-1, and I think that helps our defense a ton. We play 1-on-1 like every day, and Coach Mack is in there just wild. Like, yeah, he don't want to play today. Like, whoever's playing who. But I remember some times where I would be pump faking, and he'd tie me up just right and just swat my stuff out of the gym, and everybody goes crazy.
I'm just envisioning that.
And then you talk about that look, and that look
he'll
he'll
do a little flex too.
That look back is, what are you doing? I'm 8 inches shorter than you.
Yeah, Justin's so funny. A lot of people don't get to see just how much personality he has, just because he's just a quiet kid, just overall.
I know earlier this year I did the game, and they were playing Southwest Baptist, and Chris finished the game with 2 rebounds, and Pitts only scored 2 points, had 10 assists, and also had 2 rebounds. So Chris was our post-game interview, and I asked him, like, so how you letting Pitts have this many rebounds this year? You're 6'7". What up? He's like, I only had 2 rebounds. He was like, oh, no, like Pitts had rebounded me. So he was kind of like shocked there, but Pitts just finds – he's just that crafty dude that just finds rebounds, whether they're long or be in the middle of the jungle, and all of a sudden he comes down with the rebound. So he's been a fun guy just to watch these 4 years, and it's going to be really hard for someone to replace a guy. You don't replace a guy like Pitch. You just kind of hopefully can pick up the slack that he leaves behind.
Yep, and I mean, Trevor and every other guard that's getting to watch him, getting to go against him every single day, just makes you better. I mean, I know he sat behind Coop our freshman year, and
that couldn't have hurt.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and then you think, like, what's going to happen after Coop leaves? And then Justin's just been in the lab working, doing his thing, and he finds a way. It won't look the same, but it's just as effective. So
let's talk a little bit about – back up a little bit and talk about these seniors and this team as a whole. You have kind of a different perspective this year than you've had in the past, and not necessarily being on the outside but not being on the floor with them. But – you've still had the opportunity to watch these kids grow over the years that you've been here. You know, you've grown up with a lot of these players on the floor at the same time. Just give me some of your feelings about where this team is at right now, just in general.
Just senior wise, I'm just so proud of like how they've all stepped up into different roles. A lot of them are not like, they don't lead the same as me, Zach, and Woods did. And Zach's just like a general of all generals. Like, he's the guy that will keep you in line, keep you in check. I'm the dude that'll yell, and Woods is the guy that will like get you super hype. But this year I can tell at the beginning it was just gonna be different. But I'm just so glad that I'm proud that they've found their role, and each one has fallen into their different spot. Brett's always going to be a guy that leads when he has to vocally, but always works behind the scenes. Justin leads with his example and his consistency. Zave is super hype. I'm super glad to see him step into that role and carry the team energy-wise when they need it. And Chris just is more the vocal leader and has stepped into that as well. So it's super special to watch them grow and challenge themselves to step out of their comfort zone for the team.
And, of course, this past season, I want to bring this up. You guys had an After Dark event here on campus. Just kind of tell us how well that went this week. I know there was a lot of promotion for it. And there was I heard a lot of good vibes about it. How did After Dark go? I know you spoke there. How did that event go there at Bearcat Arena earlier this week?
Man, that was and we talk a lot of sports, but that was one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to be a part of. And that's not to take away from anything that I've gotten to do here, any of the other teams or any of the other experiences. But it was a great turnout, absolutely free event. The feedback that I'm getting from people that left the gym where we play a lot of sports and we do a lot of crazy things, they left that gym better people. And that was just so cool to watch.
How awesome was it for you because you had a lot of impact on this campus and on this athletic program off the field that a lot of people don't really know about.
That's how I like it.
And well then we won't tell them. But I think, how incredible was it to see the impact that you have had off the court, off the field, and the impact you've had on the court and on the field kind of come together in that place where you've spent so much time as a player, and now you get to do the other thing that you love to do and in the same place.
It was super special. I was just sitting over there on the side just watching everybody have a good time. I got to be on stage and watch people walk up with their cards that they had written, what had been holding them back and things like that. And just got to see so many familiar faces and hear from so many people afterwards that may have only known me as an athlete. But it was just cool to watch. It was cool to see all your hard work pay off. It was like another pat on the back saying keep doing what you're passionate about, whether it be sport or your faith. Just keep doing it and giving it all you have and watch what happens. So
yeah, definitely follow the Mosby Factor on Twitter because he's inspirational on Twitter as well. So he always gives out some pretty good quotes there. You and Macy Williams are really good with that. You and Macy are doing a pretty good job with that as well. So I know she was part of that event too. So what's your plans after you leave here in Northwest? What are you planning on doing in the future if you have any of that figured out?
Man, I have no idea.
Don't worry, I don't either.
Asking the tough questions here, Devin.
Yeah. If you're listening to this broadcast, D'Vante Mosby needs a job. And
hire this man.
I am willing to. No, I'm kidding.
I just love that I'm a year and a half away from graduating, and I feel the same way. So it makes me feel a lot better that he doesn't know.
All right, here's the deal. Here's what I'm learning. All right, hang your hat on your effort. Like as long as my effort is there, and I'm not just gonna graduate and forget how to work extremely hard, grind, then I'm fine. If there's if there's ever a time I feel like in our lives for us not to know exactly what's going on, it'd be right after college. So I'm not really worried too much about it. I'm just gonna keep giving whatever falls on my plate maximum effort, put my passion to it, and I know I'll find something to do. But I got a couple options, got a couple internships, a couple job offers, and also thinking about doing this 11-month thing where I'm traveling to a different country every month and doing mission trips that way. So just have a lot of things to pray through and talk to my mom about, and we'll see what I end up doing. Stay tuned.
If there is anybody listening that might have a job for him, I'm going to sell you here for a minute.
All right.
Let's sell him. Let's go.
Talk to some of the people that this man has had an impact on, because it's an incredibly long list of people.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say for a second that D'Vante has been an incredible person on this campus, off of this campus, in this community, and he is kind of what Bearcat Nation is all about. He is, he and his teammates throughout the years here and everybody that has known them, it's a culture here, and it's something that I know he's really proud of, and I think everybody else is too.
Appreciate that, Ryan.
And he plays a mean ukulele too.
Yeah, he does.
Exactly. So multi-talented.
If everything Ryan said won't sell it to him, plays a mean
He's
ukulele.
a musician.
I think that'll do it.
Yeah,
we're starting a band.
So I'm sure wherever you plan to do will be a success. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, D'Vante. You going to go all the games this weekend?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I will be there.
So say hi to D'Vante. If you see him there, he's going to be hyped for the men's basketball teams. They take on Minnesota State Mankato on Saturday at 6 o'clock. So it's the game that he'll be at. So thank you, D'Vante, coming on the show and sharing your story a little bit here and some insight in the men's basketball team. As we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL. There's a lot of trades going down. A story just dropped where Jarvis Landry was traded. Find out where he was traded to next here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff.